For years, Israel viewed the Shahab 3 as nothing more than a nuisance shell, limited, outdated, conventional. A 1990s-era missile with a known range, a poor accuracy, and a warhead that posed no greater threat than to an airbase on the fringes of the Gulf. Until an intelligence report flipped the entire equation. Just one document brought Shahab 3 back to Israel's emergency war table. Not because of its range, but because of its warhead. Or rather, what Iran intends to mount on it. Leaks suggest that a new warhead design has been tested. Its re-entry angle has changed, and the detonation point is no longer on the ground, but in mid-air. The missile they had mocked for years may now be the first nuclear-capable delivery system in Tehran's arsenal. What was once dismissed as a repurposed Iraqi Scud has turned into a strategic nightmare, a missile that strikes from above and can wipe out a city in seconds. So is Iran really preparing to mount nuclear warheads? Could Shahab 3 be Tel Aviv's worst nightmare? That's what we reveal today. Stay tuned until the very end. What you see today on Iran's ballistic launch platforms is no longer just a missile. It's the result of 3 decades of redesign, smuggling, and reverse engineering. Shahab 3 wasn't born in Tehran, but out of the chaos that followed the Iran-Iraq War, when Tehran quietly began purchasing remnants of the Ba'athist missile program, reassembling what remained of Scud-B and Scud-C systems, and eventually acquiring North Korea's Nodong-1, which became the missile's foundational blueprint. In 1998, the first generation of Shahab 3 was publicly unveiled, with a range of no more than 1,300 kilometers, armed with a conventional warhead weighing approximately 1,200 kilograms, and a disastrous circular error, probable CEP, of up to 2.5 kilometers. It was only fit to hit large targets like air bases or cities, never precise objectives. But Iran wasn't satisfied. By the early 2000s, it had launched a rapid series of upgrades, first to increase the missile's range, and later its accuracy. To extend the range, Iran reduced the warhead's weight to between 750 and 1,000 kilograms, modified the fuel tanks and aerodynamic structure, and as a result, Shahab 3A reached a range of 1,500 kilometers. With more advanced variants like Gadar-1, the range leapt to 1,800, even 2,000 kilometers, allowing it to strike Tel Aviv, Haifa, Eilat, US bases in the Gulf, and even parts of Eastern Europe if launched from Western Iran. But the most dangerous transformation came in its guidance systems. Iran began relying on a combination of inertial navigation systems, INS, and Russian GLONASS satellite navigation, while also refining the re-entry vehicle, RV, to ensure a more stable and precise atmospheric re-entry. That alone reduced the missile's CEP from kilometers to just hundreds of meters, with improved Shahab 3 variants hitting within 500 to 700 meters, and more advanced missiles like Emad and Gadar-F boasting accuracy as sharp as 250 meters. At that point, a precise nuclear strike was no longer a fantasy, but a very real theoretical possibility. The hidden transformation of Shahab 3. This is what shook Israel. At first, Israel didn't fear Shahab 3. It considered it part of Iran's routine missile parade, a long missile, known range, conventional warhead, and visible launchers. Even inside Israeli military assessments, it was labeled an annoyance, not a game changer. But all of that quietly changed in recent years. What rattled Tel Aviv wasn't a new test or a dramatic maneuver. It was leaked satellite data and intelligence reports indicating that Shahab 3 had undergone silent changes. Its warhead's angle of descent had shifted, its design had become more aerodynamic, and most critically, its detonation point was no longer on impact, but in the air. That alone was enough to trigger alarm. On Israel's threat assessment tables, any missile that detonates mid-air is immediately flagged as nuclear suspect. An airburst detonation maximizes destruction radius, reduces the need for pinpoint accuracy, and is the ideal method for deploying a small nuclear warhead over a populated area. But the concern didn't stop there. Early warning Israeli radars noticed something even more troubling. The speed of the re-entry vehicle appeared precisely calibrated, as if intentionally tuned to avoid premature destruction, or to ensure a perfectly timed airburst. And with the IAEA's increasing reports of high explosive testing inside Iran, those concerns began to crystallize into an operational nightmare. What if Tehran had already configured Shahab 3 for a nuclear airstrike? Suddenly, it was no longer a distant threat, but a strategic enigma, one that forced Israel to rethink not just its vital military installations, but its entire defense doctrine. The dark side of Iran's ballistic beast. Despite all the noise surrounding it, Shahab 3 remains a weapon with critical vulnerabilities, some technical, others tied to the realities of modern warfare. First is speed. Shahab 3 isn't a hypersonic missile. Its terminal velocity averages around 2,000 to 2,400 meters per second, making it slower than newer systems like Pakistan's Shaheen or China's Dongfeng. This gives enemy defenses, whether Patriot or Arrow 3, more time to track and intercept it, especially during its terminal phase if early detection is achieved. Then comes accuracy. Despite all the upgrades, its precision remains under debate. Relying on inertial navigation backed by Russian GLONASS signals leaves it vulnerable to electronic jamming, particularly in combat environments saturated with cyber warfare and satellite spoofing. If satellite lock is lost, CEP could jump back to over a kilometer, effectively nullifying the strike. Another weakness lies in its fuel. Shahab 3 runs on liquid fuel, a volatile, highly flammable, and time-consuming propellant that requires lengthy preparation before launch, unlike solid fuel systems that can be launched on short notice. This extended launch window makes it a prime target for drones or preemptive strikes. Its high-arcing ballistic trajectory also makes it easily detectable by radar, unlike low-flying cruise missiles or hypersonic gliders. It can be tracked from early launch phases, allowing interception during mid-course flight or before re-entry. And finally, there's the political cost. The moment Shahab 3 is used in an actual strike, especially an airburst or nuclear one, it becomes a declaration of all-out war. Such a move would trigger not only devastating retaliation from Israel, but potentially direct international intervention. So yes, Shahab 3 is dangerous, but not without weaknesses. And so, the question remains for you, dear viewer. Is Shahab 3 truly Iran's key to the nuclear gateway? Or is there a newer, hidden generation we have yet to see? Let us know in the comments.